Aloha, welcome to the 15th episode of the 9th series of the Temple of Surf, the podcast. I hope you're enjoying the series. Today with us from Hawaii, Ryan Hakman, son of the legendary Jeff Hakman, an art gallerist. We discuss with him about surf, surfboards, surf stories, and much more. Hi Ryan, welcome to the show. Where are you today?
I am in Honolulu, Hawaii, in my little house here in Honolulu.
Nice. It's early morning. Yeah, in Hawaii for whoever listen to the show and wants to know what time is it. So starting a new day. So what are you planning to do?
Today, what day? Today is Wednesday. I woke up about an hour ago. It's 8:30 here. Today, usually I kind of wake up a little earlier and either go surfing or fishing, and then go to work. But today I'm talking with you. Then I'm going to work at my little store and my little gallery in Honolulu around 10 o'clock.
Cool. We're gonna talk about that. I'm very curious. I mean, I have a lot of questions for you, but the first one, ask everyone on the show is, in your opinion, what is the most important thing in surfing?
My opinion, the most important thing in surfing. That is such a broad question. um,
I'm ready for broad answers. No problem.
oh gosh, I'm still trying to figure out if surfing has saved my life or ruined my life. So,
why you say ruin? I can understand why save, but the first time that ruin.
I spent so much time surfing. I have put a lot of procrastination with other parts of my life because of surfing. But no, it's also saved my life. For me today, the most important thing in surfing for me is to have fun and to enjoy it. And that's changed over the years, definitely from a young kid to now at 41 years old. That's the most important thing.
And you're still able to have fun. How does it work?
Absolutely. You have to have fun surfing. Otherwise I wouldn't do it. For a while there, I wasn't having fun. And then I got into shaping, and that made it fun again for me.
Okay. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Transition. Why you rediscover the fun of surfing through the shaping? What was the connection? It was because then you fell in love about shaping and you continued that direction, or something happened that linked the two things?
A bit of everything, I think. I'll be totally on. And my story, I've kind of went down a little drug world a little bit there at a younger age, so that had a part to do with it. I grew up surfing every kind of surfboard with my dad, kind of longboard, shortboards, whatever. But for a while there, I was just shortboarding and just not finding the fun in it anymore. Kind of like in my late teenager, early 20s, and then I started shaping, and I'm a person that I really enjoy to create, and I'm kind of like the art part of life and to create things. And once I got into shaping, and I really learned an appreciation for every surfboard a lot more, and just finding a new enjoyment and a new feeling in surfing through creating surfboards and being able to actually surf and feel what you're shaping in a surfboard, for me was made me appreciate every wave and every surfboard a lot more.
How did you shape your first surfboard? Was something that you have done it for yourself, or you had a friend that was kind of test for your surfboards? And
my very first surfboard, I was fortunate enough to go to school here on Kauai, and on Wednesday we had a arts and crafts, like an arts day or something, and I had a shaping class. So I actually shaped my very first surfboard at school with a local shaper over here, Ian Vernon, came by and taught us how to shape, and then we kind of shaped outside in school, and then we took it and then we got it glassed, and that was the very first surfboard I ever shaped. It was a little shortboard. I think it was like 5'4" or something.
Wow, it's amazing, one thing, because okay, me, I'm Italian, and the best thing that you do when you're at school, I mean, outside the school, you go to visit a church, or you go to visit a museum, or if you are really, really lucky, maybe you go to the zoo. I mean, this is what us Italian we do. Or maybe you do a stop for a focaccia or a pizza. That's actually a good car. But I learned through the podcast that in effect, in Hawaii, in California, at every kind of age level, schools are using shaping as an opportunity to transmit something. You're not the first one who told me that started to shape because at school they started, or at university, even at the university, they're teaching shaping surfboards. Actually, they have courses that they're teaching how to shape surfboards, and I found it very cool. No?
Yeah, yeah, I love it. And when I was a kid, I always wanted to be able to shape my surfboards, but I would never understand, how do I get both rails the same? How do I? It just didn't make any sense. And when someone actually showed me the steps of how to do these things, I'm like, oh, this is actually very doable, And then and growing up surfing, and especially with my dad, he can look at a surfboard for hours. He can look at a blank surfboard for hours and just pick it apart. So I've grown up with that in my head of, the functions of a surfboard and being able to do that. I did that. I think I was like 14, but then I didn't actually shape my another board until I was about mid-20s. So I didn't get it right there and then. It took a while before I went and shaped another board.
You're keeping the count or not? Of
I did for a little while. Then I lost track and count of everything: days, money, surfboards, everything there for a little bit. So I'm not sure what the exact count is, but I'm probably at close to like somewhere between 50 and 100 surfboards.
Okay.
Not that many, but yeah.
It's good. It's a niche business, right?
It is. I don't do it for business at all. It's purely passion and self. The hardest thing for shaping for me is when I shape a board, I put so much into it and so much time that I don't want to shape it for anyone else. I want it to be for me.
But yes, why not? It's a good. Actually, it compensates also the cost. If you can do it all yourself, you don't need to go somewhere else. But I'm sure, like every surfer out there, if you see another surfboard and you like it, you want it, right? It's not.
That's the hardest thing. Yeah, I think a magic surfboard is priceless. I think you ask any surfer, how much would you pay for a magic surfboard, that if it's the best surfboard in the world? And I think it's priceless.
Exactly. Like the magic carpet of Aladdin, kind of the same story. And
Yeah.
and so, if I ask you what is the most important thing in shaping, now you were talking about rails, you were talking about the symmetry, the geometry of that.
Mhm.
In your opinion, what is the most important thing?
My opinion, I think the most important thing is everything put together. I don't think it's that important to have both rails the same, to have, like, there's a crack or a ding, or there's a big hole in it, the board will still work. To me, the most important thing is the overall flow of a surfboard. Any shape, any size, you can kind of look at it. If you step back and look at a board and imagine how it would go through the water, so the rocker's so important. Everything. I don't think there's one thing that's more important than the others, really. I've ridden magic boards that are way too big for me, that are 9'6", 10'2", but they have this magic thing going. And I think it's just everything put together that you get something you almost can't teach. It's something that you kind of see, have to feel, the fins, everything, it's all got to work together. Because if there's any weird flat spot or abrupt weird thing in the whole board, you'll feel that, So I don't think there's any one thing in particular the most important thing for me. It's everything put together. And then I've recently, well, not recently, but when I started shaping, I saw the shaper, they always get the credit, hand it off to the glasser. Then you kind of blame it on them if it's late, or breaks or something like that. But then the glasser and the sander is also just as important, or even more, in the whole process, and those guys never really get the credit they deserve.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. In effect, I had an interview a few weeks ago. Actually, you can listen because to it because it's released with Tom Parrish,
Uh-huh.
of course, legendary shaper. And we started to talk about the glassers, because at the end, talking with all the shapers now, 150 episodes, I think one third of it is with shapers from all over the world. We always talk about them, but never
Uh,
about the glassers or the sanders that are doing an amazing job, like maybe behind the scene a bit,
yeah,
and in this surf industry, but in effect, without them, no surfboards, right? Or no
exactly.
in effect. So I totally agree with what you're saying. Yes, and then there are like a lot of philosophies of the surfboard by themselves. I interviewed Jeff Timponi in Hawaii that told me that
Mhm.
15 parts of surfboards, and each one of them are very important. And if you modify one, has an effect, a ripple effect on all the other one because we need to find balance. And as well, there are other surfboard shapers like, I don't know, Chris Christensen that told me that the rails were the most important thing for him because, of course,
Mhm.
the board spends a lot of time in the water on the rails. And
Yeah,
yeah, so each one of us has a different opinion and we respect all of them, right? But this is interesting for me to see.
totally.
So you see it as a whole. So I like this.
Yeah.
Embracing the surfboard by itself and projecting into the wave. So I was following up on what you know. At the beginning of the interview, you said having fun, and in effect, and I ask you, you're still having fun, and it's a question in effect that most part of the people that I ask this question on the show, they answer fun, but as you said, is a much broader question, right? Because
Mhm.
today, having fun in the lineup, sometimes things get a little bit agitated, right? Cook of the day, we know, we follow them on Instagram, like some people
Yeah.
grasping, not respecting priorities. We are a lot of pro surfers that they cannot handle the tension of becoming a pro surfers, and so it's not fun anymore, or maybe they don't have enough money or equipment to travel all the world. I mean, now it's different a bit versus the past, and so it's not that surf is a very nice activity, if we go and surf by ourselves, but when it becomes a sport, and the fun is not a straight.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think surfing, it's you call it a sport. It's I think it's yeah, it's hard. For me, surfing is more of like it's a passion and an art form, and to someone it turns into a sport once it's judged.
Yeah.
And once it's judged, then who's to say what's judged? It loses a lot of pleasure for me. But also someone could also point that out is telling me, you're just not a very competitive person, so you don't like to compete, which I totally agree. Someone like Kelly Slater's competitive. He wants to win, win, win. Where I'm different. I like the creative part, the artistic part. And once someone judges you, I kind of just like, I step away from it. So yeah. And then also the fun part, like you said, that a lot of people in the water these days, I'm not that old, but I do remember being younger and having a lot less people in the water. And it's like the world is changing. You can't do much about it, and it's almost like ignorance is bliss. The more you know, the more angry you are, because I feel like that. I go out in the water and I see the person doesn't know anything, but is having more fun than me because I'm frustrated all this stuff, and I get jealous of that a little bit. I'm like that, that person's finding surfing for the first time. They're totally oblivious to what's going on, but they're having a blast. You know what I mean? On like these shitty little waves. So, it's like the more you know, the less you know, the more angry. I don't know. That's kind of why I say it's such a broad question with surfing. So I enjoy the shaping part of it because I enjoy to the surfing part of it, your 20 minutes to an hour surf might not be the most enjoyable, but when I'm shaping a board and creating and feeling stuff, it's a lot bigger process. The surfing lasts a lot longer than that hour surf session.
Difficult question, because it came to my mind when you were talking. Do you think that the people that are just trying to surf, that they are getting into those little whitewash waves, and and have their smile on their face all the time because they don't care, they're not aware of everything that goes around, they have more fun than the people that maybe surf Pipeline or Sunset, and they have to deal with all the rules and
They're probably not having more fun than the guys getting barreled and spit out at pipe and back door, but they're probably having more fun than the guys getting sent in or getting dropped in on and hitting the reef. I don't know. It to each their own. I remember my first experiences surfing and catching those first waves. To me, those stick out in my mind and a lot of my waves, throughout my life.
What was the best wave of your life, or the one that you remember in, let's say, the most memorable? Let's say
it's a hard question.
Is
most memorable waves. What's that? Sorry.
It's a morning of hard questions for you.
Yeah. No, I remember I listened to your podcast before and you asked this question. For me, I think I don't have probably my first couple waves. I remember there was one day in France. I grew up in France, so I was like 10 years old. So my beginning experiences with surfing were in France, in Biarritz and Anglet. It's my little whitewater, and the tides changed so much. And I remember one day I was going to school. My mom, over there, you have like 2-3 hour lunch breaks, for school. And my mom came and picked me up from school, and she took me down surfing. Usually I always went with my dad and pushing me in, but then I went this one day by myself down to VVF and Anglet. And I was just by myself. It was a beautiful day. And I just remember it was my first couple waves. I actually paddled in by myself, and the wave didn't break yet, kind of went right and left and kind of felt that whole sensation of gliding. And I don't think I came in. I don't think I went back to school that afternoon. But to me, that's probably my most memorable waves. And then also I had memorable surf sessions too, with either my dad or friends, with no one out, and some really great places and really good surf. Probably I had one afternoon here in a place on Kauai with my friend Mike Coots, who actually he got his leg bit off by a shark when we were kids. And it was a spot we were surfing further out on the reef, and the full moon was coming up. It was around sunset, and the waves were so good, and just us out. And there's been fortunate to have quite a few memorable surfs and waves.
Is still possible to surf alone or almost alone, or no?
It is. You can wake up early. There's some. Yeah, you can. There's some spots. It's not the most probably everything has to line up, but it's still possible.
It's still possible. Sure. It still exists. You don't have
it still does.
China or places like that to surf empty waves. Still.
A lot of the places with the empty waves, though, you might have some sharks around. the spots that are empty.
They're not totally empty. They're very dangerous for us. And you were talking about France. How was growing up in France for you? How was those years? How were those?
Oh, it was amazing. It was amazing. It was cold. I remember as a young kid, that was in the early 80s. So we didn't really have that much wetsuits or anything like that. We did, but they weren't that good. So I remember being real empty and cold, but very, very memorable. It was a time, I look back on it while we were there. My family, my father was starting Quicksilver back then, and the people that would come in and stay with us and stuff during the early 80s and mid 80s was I look back, I'm like, wow, it was really cool. I was fortunate to meet a lot of people that I connected again later on in life outside of France. But also growing up over there with the schools, I learned how to speak French over there. That was my first language. So that's been very useful. I haven't gone back in like 10 years. I miss it a lot. But it was really cool. It was I want to go back. Everyone says everything changes, but it was very, very cool. Not many people surfing. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. Today, a lot of people are surfing for sure.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
Huge industry of shapers, huge of people that a lot of big population increased quite a lot. A lot of people that are going there to surf or because they like to surf, they are connected to the surf industry. That your father started in effect there, and with Quicksilver, in England, right?
Yeah, we lived in Biarritz in England.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we, as a European, we heard the tales of those days, in France, because
Uh-huh.
it was a legendary time, right? And now today, like because also Osegor famous Osegor Pro is not part of the tour anymore, right? And for
Mhm.
European has been like a tragedy, we were
Yeah.
waiting for that event to happen, and was there since I guess you were a kid, right? The Osegor Pro so
Yeah, I remember the first ones were like the Biarritz Surf Masters, I think in Biarritz with like the ASP back in the day. Was the first kind of contest I remember, as well as like the Lacano Pro was there. Then everyone would come over for the WQSs. Yeah, so there's no more contest in France, huh?
oh, there are local contests, like
Yeah.
of course, for European surfers,
Uh-huh.
Biarritz, Osegor, Anglais, they're all destination for the big waves in Europe. Not as big as Nazare, but of course, like
Yeah.
good ones. And yes, and the international flavor kind of disappeared, and it's
Mhm.
unfortunate because also for us European, it was the opportunity to share moments with the champions,
Yeah.
the big guys.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it was good for the whole surf culture. Anyway, European surf culture that is quite strong. Talking about Italy with longboard, for instance, France, Portugal, Spain. There are quite Germany even. There are a lot of surfers. That and some of them they are in the top 10. Like for us, Italian one, Leonardo Fioravanti.
Yeah.
Out of 60 million people plus, at least one guy.
Hey, he rips. He's a good surfer. I went to some of my best, actually, one of the best surf trips I ever went on was with Alessandro Dini.
Yeah.
And he took me over there to Italy, and we went over to Sardinia, and wow, that was amazing. The food, we got some really good surf as well, but the food and the surf, I always said, I was like, is this like this all the time? Because this is amazing. We really got some good waves. It was definitely one of the better trips I remember in my life for sure.
You make me remember what Bo Young told me about his time of surfing for Bear surfboards in Italy. And
Yep.
he told me, Alessandro De Pasta.
Yep. The food and the pasta is so good.
It was the waves. Okay, fine. Bear surfboards, I don't know. I wanted to talk about three fin, longboards. And he told me, no, Alessandro, the pasta was amazing time of my life. And
It's true though, because you eat all the pasta over here, and you eat one meal and you're so full and bloated, and it doesn't feel good. I remember over there you can just eat it so much more fresh and better. You can just keep eating. It's really good.
exactly, like my wife tells me, but you Italian, you eat carbs all day, but you don't get fat. What's the point? What's the issue? What's wrong with you guys?
Yeah.
I don't know. Our genes are destroying carbs very fast.
Classic.
So yes, shaping, surfing, of course. You had a few years as a competitive longboarder, right? Or I'm wrong.
Yeah, a little bit. I was really young. I did all the states and nationals and stuff here in Hawaii. I think I won a couple, did good. Then I did a couple of the contests in France. Yeah, I traveled a little bit for sure with Mentawise. There was a longboard contest. We got lucky. I think Nat Young put on some big event. We had to run a boat trip in the Mentawise.
Yeah.
I was younger, I was competing at the Biarritz Surf Festival, and then all the European longboard stuff, and Joel was there, Jimmy Gamboa, Bo, all those guys, all Russ K, Bonga, and I was kind of like, I was a lot younger than all of them, and but because I spoke French, I was kind of around there, but I was yeah, I did okay, but I was also more of just like, to be honest with you, it was more of just like a party scene for me. I didn't take it that seriously, but I definitely made some connections, some friends there, for lifetime friends for sure.
Yeah, but it was surf is also a good way to have fun. Come on, like we cannot tell this later, or but in fact, I wanted to say this at the beginning. Like obviously, surf. I agree with you. No, it's not at least for me, it's not a sport.
Yes.
I guess for 99% of the surfers out, 98, 95% of the surfers out there is not a sport. It is a surf culture. It is sharing waves with friends, or whatever. And it's about being on the beach, on shore, around with a beer, with the friends at the bar, wherever it is. But with the Olympic Games, with the WSL, the projection, that it goes like into the media, into the masses around the world, is the one of competitive surfers. I want to be the first. I want to be catching the best wave. I want to defeat the others, which is kind of counterintuitive, or is just like saying totally the opposite of what surf culture is or must be. Even if we go back to 1965 in Macau, was the first surf contest, and there were not so many surfers around, right? So I don't know how to make up my mind, if surf is a sport or not. It's very difficult. No, what do you think?
It's definitely a sport. There's a lot of money in surfing. It's the evolution of surfing, I guess, and everyone has their little different time and space in it. It's for me, it's a lifestyle. It's what I'll always do no matter what. I think once a surfer, always a surfer.
Yeah.
But definitely today, like I grew up, and you just look at the marketing stuff and all the companies. Back in the day, growing up, it was like, if you can't rock and roll, don't fucking come. Like Youth Against Establishment. It was very like party hard, surf harder, just go, 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 and for me, it is just different. To me, a lot of people went that route, and a lot of people kind of just kept partying and lost their lives and stuff too, and today I feel it's just the evolution of surfing. It's a lot different. You can't be partying and having a great time and competing as a high level athlete in surfing. You got to be, look at the Billy Kempers and the big wave riders and stuff. It's an all day, every day, 24/7 training affair. It's the evolution of surfing, and it's great what they're doing and how they're approaching waves and with the wave pools and stuff. It's definitely a sport, and it's the direction it's going. And if you want to be at the highest level these days, you have to take it very seriously and as a sport, So I think it's great. It's great. It's not for me, but I'll watch it.
Of course, I do too.
Yeah.
What you brought to my memory is you actually were saying the famous advertising of Gotcha. If you can't surf, don't come.
Yeah.
A lot of advertisers, they were getting away with things that today, even post it, there will be a revolution of people, attacking, because he's not.
I know there should be you see those old Instagram. Sometimes you see old ads, they bring up of like the guy, the advertisement for like the perfect dish for the perfect vacuum cleaner for the wife and stuff like that. Today you don't do that stuff.
No, well, too many troubles, and no, it's not good. It's not good. Well, we all evolve, and I think if we can learn from the past, but nevertheless, I just had this flash of this gotcha advertising, and I said, "Oh my God, those guys!"
Yeah.
Anyway, so but actually it gives me a good opportunity to talk about art. So you have a gallery today, like these days?
Yes, so I have I was fortunate 3 years ago, opened up a little, my own little art gallery right across from Honolulu School. It was real small. And I kind of went through some troubles in my past, and then 5 years ago, kind of cleaned up my act and had an opportunity to start a little store here. And I always enjoy creating. I never really had like one means of art. Like I don't like just oil painting or watercolors. I enjoy to create. And actually, the Pat Tenori from that started Ruka really helped me out get started, and printed up some shirts, and got this little store going for me, and I really appreciate that. And then COVID came, and had to shut down. But a bigger opportunity opened up in the middle of Honolulu, right by a Quicksilver store, which is funny.
Yeah.
So now I have a place right next to the Quicksilver store in Honolulu, and it's an art gallery creative place.
Yeah.
I print I print most of my own shirts. I also have friends print them over in California, but all the designs, everything is based around Kauai and what I've grown up with, and all the art is also all friends and family. So it's an art gallery it's all art on the walls, but also locally made products and T-shirts and hats, and pretty much it's a creative platform for anyone that kind of wants to do some art and try and sell it.
Okay, you said that maybe if I well understood that you don't have a preferred, let's say, uh,
Medium.
yeah, okay, like painting or picture photography or whatever. But do you have like a kind of favorite theme of the art that you're selling? Is that surf related or nature or a little bit of everything?
The favorite theme, it's not a favorite theme. I anything unique, anything real. I don't like someone that's gonna make something. Oh, let's make this so we can sell it for this and make some money. Like I enjoy more. Obviously, don't get me wrong. You need money to survive here. That's for sure. So, but I enjoy pieces or art that's gonna make people talk and think. Something that's real, that's unique, and and you can tell whoever's doing it, if they're passionate about it, if they've been doing it forever. Some people might come and want to do this to make a quick dollar, and it's not what I'm about. Yeah, there's all different kinds of mediums. I have a friend, he goes by Wayne, who is an artist in our gallery who does really well, and it's all resin medium. It's all layers of resin, which is pretty cool.
Definitely. And so the artists are mainly from Hawaii, or like how does it work? Artist or
The artists are literally my friends and family I've grown up with. We have Mike Coots in there, who he got his like I said, he was a shark attack survivor, and now he's a advocate for saving sharks. And he has some pieces in there, and he actually recently launched a coffee table book with all his images of sharks. So now he's a shark photographer. Beautiful book. I have another friend, Bryce Baker, a local kid from here, surfer, that's always been creative since day one. He does big murals outside the store, and we do collaboration T-shirts and stuff with him. Yeah, my one of my original guys, his name is Bossa. He goes by Bossa. His name is Robert Allen. He's like 79 years old, and he was actually the first laminator for all like Greg Knoll, Dewey Weber, all along when boards went from like balsa to foam and fiberglass. He was kind of there doing all the laminating, and he moved over here to Kauai, I think in like the late 60s, and he's been here doing all the resin work since then. And the stories he has and the resin work he does is pretty cool. So I have some resin. All the resin up the floor, he peels it up and makes art out of that and stuff. So yeah, he's a unique individual. I love him.
fantastic, like I'm sure he has a lot of stories to tell, like
all the laminators, like because of the resin, a lot of them have passed away because of cancer and stuff. It's so toxic, and he's still here. And yeah, the stories he has of laminating back in the day for all the top guys, He did all the Decats, all the Greg Knoll Decats, and he actually told me a good story. He said, "Hey, do you know why those all the Decats are black?" And I go, "No, why?" And he says they used to blow their own foam at where Greg Knoll used to shape, and the foam were defects; they were ugly, so they painted them all black. That's why all the Decat surfboards are black in the beginning. So he has some stories that are pretty amazing.
It's good that you are supporting the people that grew up with you, or somehow your family, or people that you cross around on the path, right? And
Uh-huh.
kind of allowing you to give back, isn't it?
It is, and I also part of the store too is like there's so many people coming here to Kauai and Honolulu, and everyone knows how pretty it is here. And my goal too is telling stories through our products of the people and places of Kauai that make Kauai so special. You know, you always see, so many pictures and stuff of how beautiful this place is, you know what I mean? But you don't really get to know the real story and the history of some of the people like this guy Bassa, and like certain people in this community that, they've been here since way before I was, and their families and generations, and their stories don't get told that much, and so a lot of them are they do their own thing. It's so crowded here now that, they kind of just stay home or go to their work, and you don't see them out and about. So to be able to tell those people's stories is also a huge part of our store as well.
So then I'm curious. Tell me another story, because I'm sure you have so many to tell. So
what story do you want?
like one local story that particularly impressed.
Well, our logo. So our logo of our store is it's a pot. It's a big walk, and if you come down here to Honolulu, down by the pier, they call that Black Pot Beach.
Okay.
And back in the day, there's only a few families here, and the Tai Hooks were like the fisherman family, and there's not much money back then, so the fisherman family would hook-ilau all the fish in the summertime down by the pier, and they would cook the fish in these woks that would turn black, and it's how I got the name Black Pot. And they would trade the fish to Ching Young for produce, or the liquor store for liquor, or whatnot. And then how I got the name Black Pot, the beach, is because these pots would turn black. And I was very fortunate. My good friend Ian Hamyoung and Haley Hamyoung's dad, the father Bobo, was related to the Tai Hooks and gave me this pot, the original Black Pot, of how I got the name. So that's kind of like our logo. It's in the store, so we try and showcase the history and the stories of Honolulu. There's a bunch of stories I also have with Bassa, this guy Bassa that does all the resin. He has stories for days. But yeah, and then also we have a lot of shirts too with some of my dad's pictures. Is this one actually behind me? I think is him the first time he surfed sunset. So we have like images like that on shirts with like a handwritten story from him about what board that is, what year it is, and stuff like that. And then my partner in the store, Kiali Chung, his father is Terry Chung, and he's a local legend here. He's shaped kind of a lot of the boards and stand-ups here for Laird, and he's a great fisherman. So there's some stories of him, how he came up with his logo and his handwritten story. So everything has a real unique feel and authenticity to everything in the store.
I have a question, but feel free not to answer if you want, because
Yeah.
Of course, for whoever didn't get it yet, but I'm sure looking at your family name, you are the son of the legendary Jeff Hakman. So growing up with such an important family name was an opportunity for you or a limitation?
Overall, definitely an opportunity. Definitely an opportunity. Yeah, both ways. A lot of things. It's a hard question.
The way I think it was like, because there are a lot of expectations, right? And
yeah. For me, it wasn't so much the expectations. For me, it was a lot of opportunities. I'm gonna be totally honest with you. Is and I'm an open book. So for me, a big part of my life, what happened with drugs was a little bit of it played a big part of my life. Growing up, I think there's no secret that my dad had his issues with drugs as well. It's in his book or whatnot. So the last name definitely helped a lot with opportunities and stuff like that behind closed doors. There's a lot of things that affected me growing up in families and situations, and I guess in the big picture, there's a lot of opportunities that came my way that I personally ruined and didn't take advantage of and had to have life lessons of my own. So it's hard, 'cause I can look back on it and I can say, I ruined so many good opportunities, but it all comes with a price. And where I'm at today is I wouldn't change anything in the past for where I'm at today and where I'm at right now,
At the end, life is a journey. If we don't take advantage of all our mistakes, to make it better, I mean,
Yeah,
that's the way it goes. There's
totally.
nobody is perfect except all these people that are posting perfect waves in Instagram.
Totally. Totally. But there was a time in my life that when I was shaping and all I cared about was shaping and surfing. That's the only thing, and kind of other bad things. But I didn't care about money, relationships, people. I just shaped, surfed, and I do have to say I learned a lot. My main thing was learning really. I had this old board I had no surfboard. I pretty much had nothing at the time. And a friend of mine gave me an old Yater. It was an old Yater from like the 70s. And it was heavy, big old single fin. It was a Yater spoon. And I remember riding it a couple times. First surf or two, like, ooh, this is different, because I've rode longboards before, but not like an old school heavy thing like this. And it was the only board I had. And by the third surf, the feelings I got from this nose riding on this board, it liked the faster the wave, the better on the nose on this thing. The hollower, the faster, the better this board would work on the nose. And I learned a lot during those times of shaping and nose riding. And I feel like a lot of people, the typical nose riding is a real slow wave, kind of a softer wave. And during that time, I really focused on nose riding and kind of a faster Hawaii wave. And so I did learn a lot of things during those kind of not so good times, and shaping and surfing.
You said it yourself at the beginning, yeah? Surf saved my life or ruined my life, I don't know.
That's where it comes from. That's my personal experience.
It's 11-8, but is maybe not 8, but is, yeah, it good.
Yeah.
Your smile today is definitely a point of arrival and departure at the same time. Means that
Yeah.
you're able to build something out of it, which is important. And well, I'm very, I'm still have on the back of my mind the story of your friend that has been bitten by a shark, and at the same time now is doing shark photography, which is
Yeah. Mike Kuchak, he'd probably love to do a podcast with you. I can line you up with him. I'll send you his Instagram or something. But yeah, he's a good guy.
Please, yeah, with great pleasure. It's a very interesting story. Again, out of difficulties to find a new
He actually, he great body, like he grew up bodyboarding, Waterman, surfed big wave, like he knows the ocean so well. Then he got attacked by a shark and he lost his leg. And then he went to school in Santa Barbara to become a photographer. And then while he was in Santa Barbara, that's when he started learning how to actually stand up surf. And then now he stand up surfs. Yeah. And he's a photographer.
Plastic energy. Wow.
Yeah, totally.
Resilience. Actually, that's the right word. Okay, so we kind of navigate into the interview. But for the end of the interview, 6 questions that I ask everyone on the show. That's the first thing that comes up to your mind. Okay, the best surfboard that you ever rode.
I just said it. 1970s Yater spoon was my best surfboard. I still got it.
Fantastic. Favorite?
That was the best. That was the best surfboard, longboard. But I had a magic shortboard from Morse Cole when I was a kid too. That my mom ran over in her car. That was pretty magic too.
On purpose or?
Oh no, I left it behind her. Totally my fault.
Sometimes, mom can get upset, I got
Yeah.
a popular surfboard.
Mom would never do that. Dad would do that. Mom wouldn't.
Okay. Your favorite shaper of all time?
Peter Daniels, hands down.
Huh?
And that's no questions asked. Peter Daniels.
Peter Daniels. And personal question: your favorite song or kind of music?
Oh, that's I like anything. I like anything that has a good beat. That's a tricky one. I grew up with Tupac and Avril Lavigne on my wall, and now I listen to country. So I listen to every whatever.
Okay, it's kind of.
I cannot answer one. There's no way.
Okay, cool. We like that. Favorite surf spot?
Favorite surf spot? Here at home, I guess. Here on Kauai, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you don't want to say too much because you want to keep it secret, I know.
There's no secret. You can Google anything these days, anything pops up. Yeah. There's no secret no more.
Definitely. But I don't know if there is no secret no more. A lot of people, they say, I don't want to say because all my friends will start punching me because I don't want to get in trouble. So I don't know.
Well, I'm not going to say I'm not saying anything, but
exactly.
it's like you can see anything's on Instagram these days. It's crazy. So
favorite surfer of all time?
Favorite surfer of all time? I don't have a favorite surfer.
Longboard.
I'd have to say, Andy Irons was probably one right up there, watching him growing up. Yeah, it'd have to be Andy.
I think good choice. And of course, a wide choice, right? So you need.
Yeah.
And the last question is a little bit unusual. I don't remember why I put it in the podcast, but what to do. Your best relationship advice.
Oh, best relationship advice?
Yeah.
Honesty.
Okay. It's
honesty with other people and yourself too. Being honest with yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you have to start from yourself, to project it to other people. Cool.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for being on the show.
No problem.
Okay. And I look forward to talk to you very soon.
No problem. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hi, it's me again. I hope you enjoyed our today's episode. If you want to know more about us, please follow www.thetempleofsurf.com and all our social media. Mahalo!